It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. Welcome to 2025.
Woo.
We call that a segue. It goes into what we want to talk about this month, which is what you just shared with me. It's a tale of two halves. Why don't you say a little bit more?
Sure. Why do we say that it's a tale of two halves? Well, if we look at the year in two chunks, the first 6 months and the second, the first half, eGrocery was essentially flat. It was up 0.3%. Nothing to be shouting off the rooftops for. Second half, you look at its year-over-year growth, we're plus 18%. Yeah, an incredible shift and change that happened. And if someone's wondering what happened between the first and the second half, well, that's what we can talk about, because we have been talking in the past about what started in mid to late May that has continued on through the rest of the year. And that has serious implications for how we try to grow and manage the business going forward.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think back to the forecast we did for the 5-year forecast around this time last year. And I'm going to ask, has what happened as of May caused you to reflect on the forecast going forward?
Yes, it has. We did not revise it because we wanted to see how the developments in the mid-year were playing out. Now it's clear. We end the year up 9% versus 23. We had forecasted that sales would have been up around 5%. So we really beat our forecast by a significant amount. What we didn't anticipate in that forecast was the aggressive, deep discounting that was occurring broadly across nationals, regionals, and mass retailers around their subscription membership programs. And that has triggered the recent S-curve that has really driven the second half results.
It's almost as though the executives at Walmart, Amazon, Instacart, what have you, just saw your forecast and said, we're going to show him. Let's throw this into the mix.
Yeah, I think what Walmart has understood for some time, and we're only beginning to see it and understand it from the data, is that they were underdeveloped or underpenetrated in delivery. And that's partly because they started their e-commerce journey with pickup, and they only recently have reached effective full distribution of their delivery service in the US. Mm-hmm. And what I think they realized was that delivery, like we said, disintermediates many of the competitive advantages traditional regional grocers had, and is enabled them to attract new to Walmart customers online, which is really very atypical, because typically customers who are shopping online with a specific retailer were previously shopping also with that retailer in the physical store. In this instance, that's not necessarily the case. And my family would fall in that bucket as well.
Let me ask you, where do you think McMillan's going to land when all is said and done about his impact on that business and what he's put in place to drive the growth that Walmart's seen?
I think the investments that they've been making over the last several years are paying significant dividends already. The expectation is those dividends are going to continue to accrue, especially with retail media. And at some point, those S-curves will plateau out and they'll need to find the next growth curve. So we would anticipate within the next 1 to 2 years, this S-curve for Walmart kind of running its course. Mm-hmm. Where they go from here, we do not know. They were not the first to trigger the onslaught of deep discounting on the annual membership and subscriptions. That was Instacart. But they just demonstrated that even as a fast follower, their scale, their price position, and their reputation and capabilities mean when they move, the market moves.
Yeah, we are, as we record this, we're about a week out from the presidential inauguration and the promise of tariffs. I think if there's going to be anything to dislocate what Walmart is doing for this year, what do you anticipate that impact would be? Even a 10% tariff on goods from China.
Regardless of the degree, I mean, it's not going to just impact Walmart. It will impact all retailers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the case of Walmart, their exposure may be a little higher than regional grocers because of their general merchandise. But with that being said, Walmart has laid the groundwork for helping their customers save more money every day while shopping with them. And we've talked about that. And they're continuing to enhance their customer experience by curating that online experience. So it seems as though they're doing a lot well to improve the experience, to ensure that any dissatisfaction is not coming because of non-price related issues. And relative to price issues, few, if any, are going to be in as good a position as Walmart to have to mitigate any of those increases.
What is it about pricing that creates a stickiness with customers in this environment?
One, it's the perceived value that customers gain when shopping with Walmart. I mean, again, Walmart is perceived to be the market leader when it comes to pricing. While that may not be entirely true, as we know, Aldi most of the time will have lower prices. They
That's
have a
right.
different
That's
assortment
right.
and mix. So, and they're not as present across, the 50 US states as Walmart is. So Walmart is the proxy for the market leader. But what Walmart has really done recently, effectively through these promotions, this deep discount where they discounted their annual membership by 50%, was encouraging people to take that step, encouraging their existing customers who are already online to shift into the membership, thereby removing one of the main friction points that was hindering delivery, which was the explicit fee associated with delivering that product. Still maybe a tip, but it was that delivery fee, that $9.95 or $7.95, depending on what options you picked with Walmart. So now going forward, when people build their delivery basket, they're no longer thinking about nor confronted with that $9.95 charge, right? And they may not be thinking about that membership other than how the membership is helping them save money. And so that is a very strong reinforcement tool, very much the way Costco looks at it, that people will be able to justify the membership because of the realized or perceived savings that they're accruing from it. And so that's why I think where Walmart stands today and continues to expand, their ability to weather these increases is going to be better than most, if not all, other retailers. They're going to have to, manage through it like anyone else. But just from the big picture, I don't see that as a huge issue for only Walmart. I see it as a huge issue for the industry, in which case Walmart may actually benefit because it may simply push more cash-strapped households towards the mass discounter.
At least one that's got the volume to offer as low a price as possible. Let's talk about repeat intent and loyalty in a limited budget environment and the implications for regionals. We all know the challenge. It's hard to compete, obviously, but can you talk a little bit more about the importance of engaging with frequent buyers?
Absolutely. We use the term loyalty quite a bit. We tend to look at more behavioral metrics, and so frequency is what we tend to look at. And then, we could add monetary and recency, RFM measures to look at that. What we really need to be doing now is trying to motivate existing customers to make that next order, right? That goes to frequency. We need to look at those customers that we have that maybe purchased from us online 3 months ago, but not since. Figure out what are the reasons why that customer is either a very infrequent user of our service or potentially they may have lapsed, and look at what needs we're not addressing that those customers value, right? And then at the same time, when we're looking at loyalty, I mean, it's a two-way street. We want to reward our most loyal customers, and that those are customers who are coming to us more frequently, spending more money with us, and doing that more recently. And so we want to offer up maybe member only discounts, right? We see quite a bit of that. We may want to spike the punch, so to speak, with some LTOs. And we saw that with the subscription offers, is good for the next 30 days. So that scarcity helps move people to take action that they otherwise may have delayed. Focus on value within that loyalty group. It's not just about the price, but maybe it's bundling. So this could be your cross-selling or literally bundling of products into a package deal, right? So besides that, we now need to look at, okay, if these are our more loyal customers, how are we better serving them? So it goes to improving that consumer experience. So when I open up the app, how personalized is that experience now in terms of what I see, whether I'm using search or display, and how does it help improve my ability to more quickly and effectively build my order, right? Those are all the things that a loyal customer will appreciate and reward the customer, the retailer, with more frequency and more orders. So that's where I think regionals need to be thinking a little more closely about how they compete for that budget conscious customer.
So if I can summarize, so obviously even focusing on some of the simple perks that a regional could bring to the table. Obviously, looking at targeted promotions, maybe a smaller scale subscription program, partnering with other local businesses or other co-marketing initiatives. But it all requires understanding your customer, looking at your data, having someone responsible for that data and being able to take some insights out of it or translate the insights into some kind of actionable next steps.
I would add, Mark, one other one, and it goes to product sampling. Think about the loyalty member that if you were to occasionally surprise and delight them with some free product samples. Now, you could do that with all customers, or you can do that with just your subscribers or members. You can decide where's the best place to position it. But in the case of trying to encourage customers to purchase more frequently or purchase more when they do order, there could be an argument for, let's put that benefit in our membership or subscription, because then it helps strengthen the virtuous cycle of that, and everyone wins, right?
Yeah. And we know there are providers out there that offer those personalized, targeted product sampling as part of a promotion effort, a retail media effort. I recognize what you're saying. I think creativity as well in assembling what these experiences, these shared experiences could be, is critical. Whether you develop those ideas internally or talk to third parties who have experience. So, Dave, I want to touch on another topic that you said recently, that regionals should really start to differentiate themselves as well around having healthy choices. This goes part and parcel with their focus on fresh assortment and local products. Can you talk a little more about how regionals can leverage solutions that help consumers make better lifestyle decisions?
Well, up to this point, most apps have had the ability for the customer to go into their profile and update certain settings around lifestyle, dietary preferences, things of that sort, right? Like low sodium, no sugar added. And those things were intended to help curate the search and discovery of products based on those parameters. I think whether someone has done it or not, AI today may be able to replicate that process without the same level of effort required by the customer. But more importantly, we're at a stage now where GLP drugs are changing the way households consume and therefore purchase groceries. And, obviously behind that trend is a desire to lose weight. And to do that, you need to change the way you eat. So the expectation is there is only going to continue to be a growing level of interest for shoppers to get health related information in more easy and usable forms. So as retailers look at that, those who are able to better align the recommendations with what customers' preference are, the more likely they're going to see that product added to the cart. And again, I think AI, with the use of the past purchases or search history or other things like the profile, should all be able to port that even more effectively going forward.
There we have it. We have at least some suggestions as to how regionals can better attract and retain the more frequent customers.
As I mentioned, the current S curve that's really driven the strong second half of 2024 is something that will influence the trajectory of the forecast for the coming 5 years. But there's a lot of uncertainty. To your point, the new administration raises a lot of questions as to what can happen and what's its impact. So we may have a large gray swan list or a growing list of that. But, then there's going to be black swans, right? And the problem with black swans, we just don't know what they are. So
That's right.
we're going to have to, work through this. Retailers do. So it's really exciting because, as we answer one question, 3 more pop up. And that's the nature of this work. And as we've always talked about, Mark, it's really about interrogating the insights and knowing what questions to ask, and then being able to act on it.
David, appreciate your time as always. Before we go, any parting thoughts?
Well, this is really to the retailers who listen. I would encourage you to reach out to Mark or myself. I personally really enjoy having conversations with retailers, as they're on the front lines and they help us better understand the issues that they're dealing with. And that helps us go out and examine that to help better understand ways to work around it. So I'm looking forward in 2025 to more meaningful engagement with regional grocers across the U.S.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Look forward to seeing you next month.
Thanks, Mark.
Bye-bye.